Why does it feel like no matter who's in charge, the White House is filled with a bunch of absolute jokes? This is the Asher Stein Show with your daily reminder that being competent is not a requirement to becoming a politician. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s press conference from yesterday. Yes, I know this is a little bit late. I did watch it live, but whatever, you're still watching it. It's fine. So Donald Trump actually teased that this was coming ahead of time a few days ago at the Charlie Kirk memorial service. And let me just say, if you're going to be giving a eulogy or speech at a memorial service for one of your good friends, maybe don't spend time giving tidbits about hobby projects you're working on. Just a thought. But anyway, at the memorial service, Trump hyped this announcement up, like this was going to change the game when it comes to autism. I actually talked to a lot of people who genuinely believed this announcement would be the smoking gun that vaccines cause autism. But no, this press conference was not about vaccines. It was instead about a link between autism and Tylenol? So basically the gist of the announcement was RFK saying there may be a link between acetaminophen or paracetamol, whatever you want to call it, the active ingredient Tylenol, in pregnant mothers and autism. That sentence did not come out right. Pregnant mother, take Tylenol, baby become autistic. And of course, immediately after that, you get all this responses from people in the pharma industry and medical professionals saying this is not true. I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about medicine. My specialty is more in politics, so I'm going to stick to that. I just think this situation is really, really funny, which is why I'm talking about it. I feel like I have a healthy distrust in industries that do have an incentive to keep people sick. But then again, I do trust them a lot more than I trust someone like RFK. Look, it's possible he does know what he's talking about, but it's kind of hard to take him seriously when it sounds like he's about to end every sentence by coughing up 2 quarts of blood. No, but here's the actual funny thing. What he said didn't actually sound that extreme compared to like some of the more crazy stuff he said about vaccines and stuff like that. Like basically the message was if you're pregnant, you still can take Tylenol, but maybe you should watch how much you take. Maybe you should be careful and not have too much because maybe we don't know, might be bad, maybe it's possible. I was kind of under the impression that that's just like general medical rule of thumb. If you're not sure if you should be taking something when you're pregnant, maybe be careful with it. I don't know. That just seemed like that was like general medical advice. Maybe not. I don't know what I'm talking about. What I do know is that the numbers of autism cases do seem to be going up in recent times. But if we're going to be blaming this on something external and not genetics, wouldn't it make sense to blame something, I don't know, more new than Tylenol? I mean, Tylenol's been around for a while, and I don't see anyone trying to say that there's been a massive spike in Tylenol consumption, so that wouldn't really explain why there's more and more autism cases. And look, I try to take the center opinion on things like this. The far left, of course, is saying that RFK is doing this because he hates women and wants all women to suffer. And apparently Tylenol is one of the few, like, generally safe pain prescriptions that women can get when they're pregnant. So RFK, he just wants all women to suffer. I don't think it's that either. I think people expect him to be doing research on autism stuff, and it kind of felt like he didn't really have anything conclusive to go off of. So he just kind of pulled these old studies that said there may be this sort of link. Say, hey, look at this. Maybe there could be a link, maybe. Because these studies have been published in medical journals. But basically the existing studies found that when you control for siblings of the children with autism, like the siblings balance it out and that like negates any of the effects in the statistics. But wait, we're not done yet, because I am going to take off my hat and I am actually going to put on a genuine tinfoil hat. This is actually my conspiracy theory about why autism rates are going. No, actually, seriously. It seems to me that it's far more likely the incentives for diagnosing someone with autism are now higher than they used to be. The range for diagnosing children seems to be extending as we move toward more of this like spectrum view of autism. I'm not going to get into it too much, but there's this thing called the Education for All Handicapped Children Act. Now, this was obviously designed in order for schools to better take care of kids with all kinds of disabilities, which is good. But one of the things that this act does is that it requires schools to be actively monitoring their students at all times to be looking for disabilities regardless of the severity. And so what can start to happen is sometimes schools are incentivized to label more children with mental disabilities because often that can help them get more funding. And another big incentive is with the test scores. Maybe a student isn't doing as well in class and maybe they're a little bit shy, kind of on the edge whether to diagnose them or not. The school has a big incentive to label them under the autism label or something else, if it's kind of on the edge, because then they can put those test scores into a separate box, and that can sometimes raise the average for the normal students. So there's another incentive to kind of have this kind of, I feel bad saying this, but like disability inflation. I just can't think of a better way to put it, of categorizing more and more students as, having these disabilities for whether it's funding or raising the test scores. And I should also be very clear, I in no way am saying that this is intentionally malicious at all. I think schools genuinely just want what's best for their students. They want what's best for, all kinds of abilities. They just want to have more funding. They just want to be able to better provide for them. But one of the unintended side effects, consequences of that is that we do see this inflation of more labels and stuff like that, which can make it seem like, oh no, autism rates are skyrocketing. This was never a thing 30 years ago. Anyway, could be wrong. It's definitely something to think about. What are the political ramifications of this? It doesn't seem like right now doctors will have to do anything new other than letting pregnant women know there could be risks with Tylenol, maybe, potentially, possibly. But is this going to affect other health policies down the road? Guess we're going to find out. And if you guys are interested in hearing more news analysis that points out the craziness of the far left and the far right, well, you can find it here. Thanks for watching.